So for a while now, we've watched AI get unbelievably good at thinking, right? It can write, it can summarize, it can even code. But what happens when we want it to stop just thinking and actually start doing things? Today, we're going to look at how we give these powerful brains the brawn to match.
And that brings us to a really fascinating question. An AI can spin you a tale, it can write a whole novel, it can describe the entire history of the stock market, but can it do something as simple as logging into your account and actually executing a trade? You see, this gap between knowing something and doing something, that's the real challenge we're tackling today.
So the key really is to bridge that gap. And it all starts by giving this powerful AI brain the hands and senses it needs to interact with the world around it. We have to turn it from this kind of passive thinker into a really active doer.
And that leads us perfectly to the hero of our story today, the AI agent. You know, at its core, it's actually pretty simple. You've got the brain. That's the large language model doing all the reasoning and the planning. You've got memory, which is super important, so it doesn't forget what it's doing halfway through a task. And then, crucially, you have tools. These are its hands, the things that let it actually take action in the world.
Okay, what's really important to understand is the massive difference between a simple chatbot and a true agent. Just imagine you're dealing with customer support. A chatbot is reactive. You ask, what's the return policy? And it just finds the pre-written answer. An AI agent, though, is proactive. You say, my package is lost, and it kicks into gear. It forms a whole multi-step plan. First, I'll identify the user. Then I'll check our internal database. Next, I'll query the shipping carrier's API. And if any of those steps fail, it adapts. That ability to replan when things go wrong, that's everything.
Right, so we've built our first agent. It can plan, it can act, it can adapt. Awesome. But what happens when we ask it to do too much? Well, just like any of us, it starts to get completely overwhelmed.
And look, this isn't just a hunch. It is backed up by hard data. We're seeing benchmarks, like one from the LangChain team, that show this so clearly. As you start piling on more and more tools to a single agent, asking it to be an expert in finance and travel and coding, its performance just drops off a cliff. The poor thing's brain gets confused trying to pick the right tool from this giant, messy toolbox.
And this brings us to a really crucial point. An AI agent is a lot like a human worker. You wouldn't expect one person to be your company's lead engineer, your top salesperson, and the head of marketing all at the same time, would you? Of course not. It just doesn't scale.
So what's the solution then? Well, you don't give your overwhelmed worker more training. You build a specialized team around them. And that's exactly what we do here. We move from a single worker to a whole workshop, from a single agent to a multi-agent system of experts.
Of course, once you've got a team, you need a way to manage them, right? You can't just throw a bunch of agents into a digital room and hope for the best. That would be chaos. Luckily, a few common blueprints, or architectural patterns, have popped up to bring some order to it all.
First up, you've got the Supervisor Pattern. Honestly, just think of a classic org chart. You have one manager agent that gets a big task, breaks it down, and then hands off the smaller pieces to its specialized worker agents. It's a fantastic way to route work to the right expert. The only risk? Well, just like in a real office, if that manager gets stuck or becomes a micromanager, it can become a bottleneck and slow the whole operation down.
Next, we have the Deterministic Flow. And for this one, I want you to picture an assembly line. Agent A does its job, then passes its work directly to Agent B, who then passes it to Agent C. It's super predictable, very controlled, which is perfect for processes that need to be the same every time. Think about a coder agent handing its code to a tester agent, which then hands it back to the coder for fixes over and over, in a loop until it's perfect.
Then finally, there's the swarm. Now this is the most flexible, and yet potentially the most chaotic pattern of all. In a swarm, all the agents can talk to each other all at once. It's like a big brainstorming session. If one agent gets stuck, another one can jump in and offer a suggestion. It's incredibly powerful for solving really complex problems, but you have to be careful. Without some clear rules, it can basically turn into a very expensive and very unproductive group chat with no admin.
Okay, so we've got a brain, and we've built a team. But you know what? Even the best team of experts in the world is totally useless if they don't have the right equipment for your specific job. This is where we have to forge a custom toolkit.
Now just look at this user request. This isn't just a simple question, it's a whole project. It involves deep analysis, some heavy-duty computation, fetching live data, and then making a secure transaction. An off-the-shelf generic toolkit is not going to cut it here. We need to build custom tools from the ground up.
So let's actually break this down. Let's imagine we're building an agent, we'll call it FinnWise, to tackle this exact prompt. We're going to equip it with 4 very different types of custom tools, each one designed for a specific part of the task. So, welcome to the Agents Workshop.
Inside our Agents Workshop, we're going to have 4 key tools. We've got the Specialist for all that tricky, unpredictable analysis. We've got the Heavy Lifter for the really tough calculations. There's the Quick Fix for simple data lookups. And finally, and maybe most importantly, we have the Secure Key to handle the most sensitive actions.
Okay, first up, the Specialist. The user wants their portfolio analyzed. Well, that could mean anything, right? It's totally unpredictable. We can't write a single function for every possible analysis. So we use this really clever pattern called Agent as a Tool. We give our main FinnWise agent a tool that's secretly another agent. It's a specialist data analyst with its own coding environment that can figure out the right analysis to run on the fly.
Next up is portfolio optimization. Now, this often requires something called a Monte Carlo simulation, which is basically a fancy way of saying run thousands of potential future market scenarios to find the best one. It's a massive computational job. We definitely don't want that running inside our main agent and slowing everything down. So we build it as a heavy lifter, a totally separate standalone service that our agent can call on when needed. This keeps our main agent quick and responsive. Now for the easy part, just getting the current price of a stock. This is a simple, stateless API call. It's a quick in and out job. For this, we use a standard function tool. This is probably the most common and direct way to just wrap an API and give the agent a new, simple skill. It's our quick fix.
And finally, we come to the most critical step, buying the stock. For this, we need our secure key, an authenticated tool. The magic here is that the tool itself is responsible for all the security. It confirms the user's identity and manages their session securely inside the tool before it ever even thinks about executing the trade. Security isn't an afterthought, it's built right in.
And that right there, that is the key takeaway from all of this. Building a truly capable AI agent isn't just about picking the biggest, baddest LLM you can find. It's about thoughtful engineering. It's about the architecture of your team. And, most importantly, the quality of the custom tools you put in their hands.
Which, leaves us with one final thought. We've gone from a simple brain to a coordinated team of specialists armed with custom-built equipment. That gap between knowing and doing, it's closing, and it's closing fast. So the only real question left is, what job are you going to give it?